Paulo Costa is what I would call an expert at Twitter. If you're not following him, stop what you're doing right now and go follow him. The link is in the description if you're too lazy to Google. If you don't have Twitter, start an account just to follow Paulo Costa. It'll all make sense to you soon. A short while ago, Bohachinia got into a bit of a Twitter spat with Jon Jones. He made a joke at Jones' expense, which Jones took exception to. Costa later sent Jones some direct messages apologizing for the tweets and assuring him that he had no ill intent, after which Jones took screenshots of the conversation and posted it publicly in an effort to make Costa look bad. This whole exchange was so amazing precisely because it told us everything we need to know about both Jones and Costa, and why the former is the biggest heel in the game, whereas the latter is a complete human being. Costa makes innocent jokes in what is clearly his second language, gets pushback from it, tries to make peace, and Jones puts him on blast anyway. Other things Costa has been doing on Twitter include beefing with Israel Adesanya, whom he calls Skinny Boy, exposing Sakuraba as a steroid cheat, and posting memes about himself and fellow natty boy Yoel Romero. Keep in mind that this is not a carefully crafted Twitter personality. This is not Colby Covington. Costa is actually the man behind the tweets. How do we know this? Well, on the one hand, look at his syntax and grammar. Here's a prime example. Look how he puts the space before the comma. This is a common mistake for someone who is still learning English. As for the actual content of his messages, well, look at this video.
Nobody knows where is Skinny Boy. Skinny Boy is hiding. Show up, Skinny Boy. Let's fight. I'm ready. Put these hands on your face, mother.
This is who he is. But then again, we already knew that, because we watched them fight. For such a prominent title contender, Costa's UFC and MMA career have not been very long. Prior to his last fight against Yoel Romero, all his fights had been either first or second round finishes. Although in the case of his pre-UFC career, I'm relying on Wikipedia. You can barely even find pre-UFC fight footage of Costa, although I did manage to find a video of his professional debut, which looks to have been recorded using a flip phone. He spent a total of 36 minutes 24 seconds in the UFC octagon. Robert Whittaker has spent more time fighting Yoel Romero than Costa has fought in the UFC period. And in the case of Costa, a good chunk of those 36 minutes were spent fighting Yoel Romero. That was his first fight that went past the second round. This is not counting his decision loss to Marcio Alexander Jr. at the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, from back when Costa looked like a Brazilian backstreet boy. Those fights were amateur bouts, and therefore don't count against his professional record. But this also means that Costa was not compensated for these fights, which is of course perfectly normal and good.
And these guys are saying they're not going to fight. I was like, what? Yeah, apparently they want to be paid, or they're not going to fight and all this stuff, so...
Look, I don't know crap about MMA. All I know is Bohachinia is a jack dude who walks forward and throws bombs. He's the epitome of post-USADA scary. I mean, look at this. Bamboje trips and falls after landing a head kick on Costa. And then in the next round, the same thing happens after he lands a body kick. Costa is not human. But it's not just superhuman strength. Costa's got techniques and stuff. Watch him play patty cake with Uriah Hall before landing this front kick to the body. And a little bit later, he does the same before landing a kick to the groin. This was a fun fight. Hall is so good at managing distance and using his length, but it didn't even matter. He jabbed Costa's face off, but Costa didn't care. He still managed to cut the cage and besiege Hall through his sheer natty power. In fact, I don't remember seeing Costa throw a single jab in the entire fight. In the second round, Costa gets caught pretty good with a right hand to the temple, but he just gets up. There's no sign of him being in any discomfort or disorientation aside from making the face I make when Dunkin' Donuts gets my coffee order wrong. Later, after finishing Hall, Costa tries to console him, but the referee didn't allow it. The always innocent Bohachinia did what he had to do anyway. But really, to know everything Paulo Costa stands for, the only fight you need to watch is Costa versus Romero. This fight should have lasted an hour. It's a crime that we only saw 3 rounds of this. And I'm not saying that because I have bloodlust. It wasn't just that these two chiseled, all-natural, acai and sugar water-powered athletes were standing there and trading bombs. It was that the two most colorful characters in the fight world shared such great moments with each other. Look at this sequence right here. You've surely seen this one a million times by now. Costa hits Romero with a clean left hook and Romero goes down. Romero then gets up and circles to his left, seemingly still recovering from the shot. He then leans against the fence, as he often likes to do, and distracts Costa with the look over there trick before dropping him with a right hand. Or here, Romero is laying it on Costa here but decides to just stop. He then retreats to the center of the octagon and beckons Costa. Costa, a patriotic American, salutes the soldier of God before throwing a vicious right hand. This fight has been described as a real-life MMA fight, and I would have to agree. When it was first announced that the world's most dangerous Weibo, Israel Adesanya, would defend his belt against Bohachinia, I thought it would be easy work for the champ. But upon further reflection, no. Costa is very dangerous. It really doesn't matter if Izzy is more skilled. If Costa doesn't fear his power and is willing to eat some shots, are we betting on Izzy's ability to elude him for 25 minutes or on Costa being able to land that one clean shot? It's like what Deontay Wilder said, you have to be perfect for 12 rounds. I just have to be perfect for one punch. Recall how Adesanya fought Romero. Romero actually landed the best punch of the entire fight, and at that point Adesanya decided to just touch up Romero's leg and win on points. But Romero is always the counter-aggressor. He's always low output. He's never pushing the pace of the fight, but rather letting the fight come to him. Adesanya was able to win on leg kicks precisely because Yoel conceded it. Costa is the polar opposite. He can only ever be the aggressor. Izzy will not be able to simply touch up Costa with leg kicks and hope that Costa is content with it. Costa will be going to Izzy and throwing his Acai-powered heat-seeking missiles. There is no guarantee that Izzy can elude him for 5 rounds. Now, Izzy has fought and won a war, so he is capable of fighting and winning that type of fight. He cannot be underestimated even in a brawl, but I have the feeling that even if he does manage to beat Costa, he won't come out of it unscathed. And yeah, I may actually have to watch TUF for the first time in years.